What's going on? It's your man, Mal C, baby. 219 TV, Midwest Connected. GI, Cheeks for life. And on this one right here, you know, hip-hop turned 50 this year, baby. All my 73 babies, you know, I'm going to be turning 50 in May. Be ready for it. You know what I'm saying? And hip-hop turning 50. And as you know, the Streetz has always set the tone when it came to hip-hop. And, you know, my man, Jam Master Jay, you know, he was the one that had run DMC that was street. I remember the legendary Run DMC Street. My Adidas is tricky. Walk This Way, all of that, you know what I'm saying? So I was Run DMC fan to the fullest, man. But I like that they always had that little street edge, you know. They look fly, which they took the look from Jay. I just want y'all to sit and tap into, you know, shout to this guy, Al Proctor. Just want to react, let y'all tune y'all about this video. I want to know what y'all think about this, man. You know what I mean? They say that he got caught up with something.
Tonight, 2 men are under arrest, and we are learning more about a motive for the killing involving the DJ's alleged dealings with kilos of cocaine.
Los Angeles, 1995, the Christmas season. A series of events was about to be set in motion that would cause the ghost of Christmas past to be reaching out at our friend from Detroit, Terry Flannery, a.k.a. Southwest T, a.k.a. Big Meech's brother, the other half of BMF. And it all started Jam Master Jay.
Please welcome Jam Master Jay.
1992, he started a record label called JMJ Records. He had a hit with Alex, and he made some money, but he racked up a $500,000 IRS bill. So it's December of 95, and Jam Master Jay has touched down in Gangland, LA, with Schoon, the guy who put up 30 G's for them to get in the game in an exam.
That was his man. His man put up 30,000, you know what I'm saying, when times got hard. So, you know, he felt now, but Jam Master Jay, he found 52. So now I don't know how he went broke after that, but proceed.
Executive from JMJ Records, that was Jam Master Jay's record label that he started. The guy Jay was supposed to cop from here in LA was nowhere to be found, but he had a backup plan. But it was a cop.
The new homicide figures seem to show that life in the City of Angels has gone to hell. A record number of killings in July and August, more than 250 each month. That's 8 or 9 a day.
Jay got to the house where he was supposed to cop. The guns came out, but no yayo. The $30,000 was taken, and he was stripped, even of the jewelry he had on. Now, Schoon.
Now, when keeping it real go wrong, Jay Money done got tight. He back in the game. You know, the quickest way to do that is to do that. He go to meet somebody, so the backup plan. Oh, his man put up the money. He goes somewhere. It's the UWAP. They done stripped him down.
Blamed him for that and pressed him for the money for some time. And Curtis Schoon Jackson would be the prime suspect initially, but Jam Master Jay stuck at it. And in '98, he kind of caught a break. Run DMC got a new record deal from Arista, and he was able to pay off his IRS tab. But of course, he had built up kind of an expensive lifestyle. He was supporting his mother, different family members around the country. He had the studio, so he still needed to be in the game, and he's floating around LA. And at some point, it's unclear as of yet, he supposedly meets a guy he refers to as Uncle. That's what he's telling his crew the guy's name is. And he might have been introduced to him one night at a nightclub, of course, when you're in LA, and of course, when you're someone like Jam Master Jay and icon of hip-hop. Lots of people want to say, oh, here's Jam Master Jay. And these guys get friendly, and of course, pretty quickly, the conversation turns.
Like you say, they get friendly, you know what I'm saying? Conversation turn friendly, you know what I'm saying? You know, we in the, you know, trade, we do it live, baby. We take commercials and everything, you know what I'm saying? Raw and uncut, you feel what I'm saying? Raw and uncut. We're gonna get back to this. But so he ends up running in the South
for a living. Well, this guy Uncle, Detroit. He's from Detroit. And starts feeding Jay bricks for the Lolo. Jay doesn't reveal this guy's name to his crew, and this is per, informant at this point statements that are in the discovery of the trial, but he does.
Per informant. So snitching ain't never been new. It's just now that part of the game always been the game. But mind you, now all this is coming up just to give you a timeline. They doing the trial of the dudes that killed Jay is coming up now. They in there. They started at the end of last year. They calling Southwest T to testify in this trial.
Let slip that Uncle is part of something called a Black Mafia family, which came out of Detroit, and by this time is operating around the country. And of course, Uncle turns out to be Southwest T, according to the prosecutor's story. I think when one of those History Channel shows or something came out and a guy heard Southwest T talk, he said, "Oh, that's Uncle." And that's how this whole thing kind of started, a call in from someone just hearing Southwest T's voice in public and putting two and two together in his head.
Tonight, 2 men are under arrest, and we are learning more about a motive for the killing involving the DJ's alleged dealings with kilos of cocaine.
The prosecutors believe 4 guys conspired and did kill Jam Master Jay, and it was all about Southwest T's yayo, 10 bricks to be exact.
Breaking details. And Jay?
That's right, Sade. Investigators cracked this very cold case. That was revelation number 1. Revelation number 2 was that Jam Master Jay was apparently a major cocaine trafficker. And prosecutors say he was murdered when he tried to cut one of his accomplices out of a drug deal.
Didn't want to put him on. That's what it was. He getting the load.
Get away from Bed-Stuy, do or die.
Hold on, Falker, my man. You know, he kind of, you got to bear with him. You know, it is his video. So we just critiquing this, and just enlighten y'all. But keep the timeline. That's what it was. Jay had the plug, but he trying to still keep the light. He got a major lifestyle more than them. So he need the joy of that money. He got the plug. But his man from Baltimore, he was, so he going to move through them, but he didn't want to give up the plug. That's what it was.
Which was already flooded with heroin and death. And when it got to Hollis, it was low crime, really nice area, but of course that would slowly start to change as you get into the 80s. Hollis is what's nowadays referred to, I guess, as the north side, and South Jamaica is the south side. But even though his father was a teacher and his mother was a social worker, or vice versa, young Jay started doing burglaries when he was in Queens during his early teen years, and his partners were a guy named Ronnie Tenard Washington, Darren Big D Jordan, and Randy Allen, and another mysterious guy whose legal name we don't know, named Yakeem. And of course, these are the guys.
Now that's the crazy thing, though, man. He grew up with these dudes, bro. He grew up with these dudes, came from the gutter. All they had to do was play their position. This is another reason why, brothers, the hood, we can never be the mob. Because when we see too much money, we lose it. We can't stay in line when there's too much money floating around, bro. We can't do it, man. We'll never be the mob.
At the center of his homicide case in this whole BMF Baltimore movement.
On October 30th, 2002, nearly 20 years ago, Mr. Jordan and Mr. Washington walked into a music studio in Queens where Mr. Mizell and others were working, essentially, and hanging out. And they walked in and they murdered him in cold blood.
Authorities praised Queens detectives for pursuing the case and developing fresh leads.
Now, even after Jam Master Jay became world famous, these 4 guys stayed with him. Big D Jordan, the father of the current alleged trigger puller, was Run DMC's manager. Randy Allen was his right-hand man and his business partner all the way up till the time of his death. And Randy Allen's sister was Jam Master Jay's personal secretary. Now, as an interesting little...
Your man is your manager. The other man is your business partner. And your man's sister is your personal assistant. That was Jay's circle. He getting money with it. So I'm sure whatever he was getting, he was gonna break them off. But that greed, bro, that greed and that jealousy, man. That's why you gotta watch your circle, man. In life insurance, it must, because we never know when we gotta go. But if it's at the hands of some sucker shit like this, man, come on.
Asterisk, the Hollis crew was at odds with the South Side, many of whom, of course, became 5%ers. And Darren Big D Jordan, father of the current suspected trigger puller, said, quote, "We made fun of them. We'd be like, hey, a la pork chop, MFer, stuff."
Now, Supreme, them, they used to be like, I consider myself a hood historian, you feel what I'm saying? But anyway, Supreme, them, man, they was like the Muslim dudes. I used to live in Jersey for like 10 years. That's my second home, Brick City, baby, Newark, New Jersey. But anyway, but I'm from GI 219. But Supreme, that was on the south side of Queens. Like 50 always holler south side. You know, Preem the one shot 50. That's how all that went. So they was one of them hoods that was close, south side, and the other was the north side, south side. They would always go at each other, you know what I'm saying? So, boom, with that being said, Jay found 50 once again. So I don't even know how you got in this situation, but you know, but anyway, that's another program. Just let's go.
Stuff like that creates beef. So interesting, you know, the 5%ers would, some of them would go on in that particular neighborhood to become the Supreme team.
So the Muslim dudes that was hustlers, the 5%ers, when they said that, they talking about the Muslims. They were Supreme team. So they just became Supreme team. So there that is. And he locked up too.
This other set of guys ended up now being charged with killing JMJ. So long time in the streets. And Jay got shot fleeing a robbery with these guys when he was a teenager. And his parents like really cracked down on him. And that's when he started DJing park jams. And in 1983, It's Like That by Run DMC started heating up the airwaves. Initially, Run DMC were just running DMC. They didn't have a DJ, and so they tapped on this kind of half street guy from around the area that was well known, Jam Master Jay. And supposedly he showed up for their meeting in his black Homburg hat, black leather jacket, and shell-toe Adidas with no shoestrings in them. And Russell Simmons, Reverend Run's brother, told Run and DMC to copy that style. Now, of course, Bimmy of the Supreme Team.
Russell Simmons was always smart. He saw him with the shell toes and the leather. He said, yo, y'all dress like him. He look hot.
Also says Run DMC kind of got their style from him and them. Go back to Hollis versus South Jamaica, North Side versus South Side. Run DMC is one of the most important musical acts, really, of the last 50 years. So whoever they got their style from, it's a big date now is set for Jam Master Jay's homicide. The defendant's table is going to be occupied by two people with two unindicted or maybe more unindicted co-conspirators. One is Tenard Washington, a.k.a. Tink, and that's one of the people Jam Master Jay grew up with, was doing burglaries with young. He was with Tink when he got shot as a teenager. And the other guy, the suspected trigger puller, who was about 40 now, but who was 18 when it happened, was Big D's son, Little Derek, who was the suspect. And just
mind you, he was 49. It happened in 22. So, but that circle once again, man, Jay's circle was. But they was all like, what, late 40s, damn near 50.
And he was only 18 at the time of the homicide. Success in the street. And he fills his Instagram page with photos of himself standing in front of Jam Master Jay's RIP murals in Queens.
I remember that. People wasn't feeling that.
Now, I'm sure that Little D was probably held in one with Jam Master Jay money and all that. And I can also imagine that Jam Master Jay's parents, remember, who moved from Bed-Stuy to Queens to get away from trouble, keep their kids out of trouble. I bet you before the year 1980 even, his mother and father, a teacher and a social worker, told them, like so many parents tell their kids, they hanging with a bad crowd, their friends are gonna get them in trouble. And it's Big D's son and Tenard two of the no good people he was running with young that I'm sure his parents warned him about that are involved in his death. And Randy Allen, his partner in the music business, is alleged to have run through Jam Master Jay's pockets of his corpse when he laid dead on the floor of his own studio.
My man right there, though, man.
Studio in Hollis on Devil's Night 2002.
He went through his pocket.
So why is Southwest T now in 2022, almost 2023, being subpoenaed about drug deals from nearly 30 years ago? And what does BMF have to do with the unsolved homicide from 20 years ago? Now here's a quote that a confidential informant that was selling dope with Jay gave to the reporter Frank Owen. Jay made a call to Uncle, and then Jay called me with the phone number, he says. I went to meet some dudes at a house in St. Louis. Some guy asked me how much I thought I could move. I said 20 keys. They said, call this number when you get back so we know you made it.
Now, you remember in the BMF, when you watch the movie, you know what I'm saying? You remember they had moved from Detroit, they was in Atlanta, they had a hub in St. Louis, and then they had the Cali joint. So they went and drove to St. Louis to pick up a dub.
I walked out with 20 keys of coke just on Jay's name. That's how crazy it was, and that's the same thing other people told me about BMF at its peak. If someone who...
360,000. He gave him 20 birds for 18,000. 360. 360. Your people know you got. Now, the people might not know exactly how much you got, but if you got 20 of them, somebody know you got 20 of them. They know you sitting on 360,000. $250,000 or better. That greed, man. But if y'all played it right, y'all could have kept that going, but that's a whole nother story, man. But 360, BMF was getting money, bro.
Who was in, just introduced you like, oh, this is my guy. They were like, oh, you know so-and-so, how much you want?
They was getting money, man. BMF was getting money, man. They were getting money, man. They was getting a lot of money. He gave my man.
And they just give you fairly large amounts. I guess it wasn't a lot to them. Now, the same source said once he sold the cocaine, he either drove back to St. Louis to pay for it, or BMF members came up and picked the money up. And the price was $18 a key, but if he turned the money in within 30 days, it would go down to $17. And if the money was in all 50s and 100s, to save him the trouble of not just counting it, but transporting it and laundering it, it would go all the way down to $17. So if they gave him, it would go down to $16. So $18,000.
He was giving him for $18. If the money was right in that order, I give him the $17. If it's in bigger bundles of money and then move quicker and you get it back in 30 days, you get it for $16. Fortune 500 style of moving things, bro. You know what I'm saying? Fortune 500 style of moving things. Brothers, we something else, but the streets set the tone, baby.
Turn into 16 if you paid fast with big bills. Or went and picked up 20 and turned the money in. The BMF contact kicked Jay 60 just for making a phone call. So that's the enticement that people get in these big drug deals, especially middlemaning, because you can make a lot of money just, making a phone call. Now,
So Jay would hook it up, boom, get his 60 off, dibble dabble in the 20. He flipping birds. I ain't heard one Run DMC song yet talking about birds that was flipped. I ain't heard Jam Master Jay say nothing. Old school, baby. That's how we do. We do what we do and don't talk about it. We talk about what we did. If we're still doing it, we want to talk about it. This generation, they do something to talk about.
Master Jay used his fame to protect himself, just cars, and blending in with a lot of different celebrities, not just black, from Puff Daddy to Kim Kardashian and Jacob the Jeweler to Kim Kardashian's first husband, Damon Thomas, who later became an informant. And the same source of information that quoted the
he was still being Jam Master Jay. Say he'll put the hat on, ride with the kid, but when he gotta be Jam Master Ye, he was Jam Master Ye,
Low prices above. Also said once he was in Cincinnati with 15 bricks, and he was leaving the hotel with Jam Master Jay, and Jay said, "Hold on, let me go grab my my hat, like the hat he always you see him in the Run DMC stuff. You never know when I might have to be Jam Master Jay." And sure enough, I think they were on their way to Milwaukee. I'm not sure, but they were driving through downtown Chicago, and they got pulled over, just kind of routine. And Jam Master Jay put on his hat, and hey, you know, and the cops just asked for an autograph. Meanwhile, there's 15
Jam Master Jay,
kilos
even
in
know.
the
He
trunk.
got 15 of them in the
As
car.
they were driving off, he turned to his friend, who's now an informant, and said, quote, "You never know when I'm going to have to be Jam Master Jay." He was right. We start to get into the early 2000s, and it's the fall of '02. He's still working with BMF. He's not on the police radar. He appears in no federal investigations at best.
So Jay had been doing this for years. Late 90s, early, he had a run with BMF. Low. Run with BMF. And Run DMC, they was popping, but they was fuck. It is what it is. But when you got 1 foot in and 1 foot out, when we come from that, the gift and the curse. You can go back and get money, but at what expense, baby? At what cost do it take to be the boss, man? Damn, Jay. Damn, Jay. What cost to it? At what cost to be the boss, man? At what cost to be the boss, bro? Hold on, man. Hold on, bro. I want to know at what cost did he have to give, man?